Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy Dice, aka Dicem. Let's get it, let's go. Without further ado, check it out.
Saving our race now lies within his mind. Well then, let me strip the very flesh from his body, and you will, my apprentice.
Megatron, leader of the Decepticon army, versus Megatronus Prime, aka the Fallen. Let's get it, let's go. So yeah, Megatron is actually one of the most powerful and ruthless Transformer Decepticons in the known universe. He is the tyrant leader of his faction, of his race, his group, his army. And the thing is, he is of course a mechanical being, a sentient robot, an organism that is very much so a machine, mechanical in nature. He is very, very barbaric, very barbarous. He's a warrior at heart, and he was even further corrupted when he was completely and utterly taken over by the lust for power given to him directly from the Fallen, with the Fallen's influence. The Fallen, aka Megatronus Prime, is actually the master of the live-action Megatron, the one who sent him in the first place. Megatron appears metallic in appearance because he is in fact made of a durable space metal. This material is very, very durable. He can transform into a jet as seen here, and he can also travel through space itself unaided. He's very fast and agile for his size, and he is extremely skilled in combat and well-versed in battle. He is also able to transform into different forms, giving him an advantage over a lot of enemies he fights. He's actually savage. The near 40-foot, roughly 35-foot monstrosity Megatron can tear apart other Transformers with his bare hands. In his base form, he is very, very powerful, very strong physically, but also he's cunning, he's intelligent. He's very combat ready and skilled, and he's actually very much so murderous against his own kind and other races and species. He's very intelligent, very smart, but also a brute. The thing is, Megatron commands the entire Decepticon army. He says that there is no command but his, even in death, but he ends up kneeling before the Fallen, and in the end, he ends up enacting the will of the Fallen Megatronus Prime. Megatron's eyes are said to glow red because his brain was infected by the Fallen. He was possessed and brainwashed. This, of course, made him even more of a bloodthirsty warlord and overlord. Megatron was already more powerful than Optimus by a slight margin, but in the second film he received some dope upgrades, at which point he brutally murdered Optimus himself, shooting him through his spark when he had him impaled with his blade arm straight through his body in the center of mass. These upgrades had pros and cons to them in the second film, but regardless, Megatron was still a beast. He became a leader and ruler in and of himself. Megatronus Prime, aka the Fallen, on the other hand, is even larger than Megatron and Optimus, whereas they are somewhat around 35 to 40 feet. He, in fact, is said to be over 50 feet, possibly even somewhere around 70 feet. He is massive. He is an ancient force, a force to be reckoned with. He is an ancient alien intelligence, one contained as an essence within the mechanical body of the Fallen. He is called the Fallen because he was, in fact, a prime that betrayed his brothers and fell from grace. He betrayed his own brothers and attacked them and fought against them actively in a very, very interesting turn of events when he, in fact, decided to use the Sun Harvester for himself, for his own personal gain, in his journey to find more power, to power amp himself. He wanted to advance his own power and abilities by power amping and upgrading himself, leveling himself up with the energy of the Earth star, its sun. Now, naturally, a prime cannot use its magic on another prime, but it can on other Transformers and other beings. The thing is, Megatronus can lift and levitate everything around him. Everything along the perimeter and all the way up to where he's standing can be levitated and lifted straight into the air and then crash directly to the surface of the planet. Optimus had to actually be powered up and leveled up himself, as you can see, with the parts of another living Transformer in order to take down the one and only, the Fallen and Megatron. Even though it was more of a one-on-one fight with the Fallen after Megatron was taken care of in the second film. The Fallen possesses a long spear, staff-like weapon that has a blade on each side that is sharp enough to decapitate a human, even though the Fallen is much larger and the spear is much larger than a human being. The thing is, it's extremely sharp, and he's very accurate and lethal with it. He's very, very powerful, as he's able to even almost defeat Optimus, and he would have probably defeated both Megatron and Optimus before Optimus was powered up to the point where he could actually not only take on the Prime known as Megatronus Prime, aka the Fallen, but he could actually defeat him with his brutality and brute strength in his new form. The Fallen demonstrated greater physical strength than both of them, but Optimus at this point was actually able to overpower and temporarily defeat Megatron, where he then one-on-one went against the Fallen in a 1v1, which ended with death. Megatronus Prime, as you just saw, even survived a brutal stab to the face, as well as multiple attacks from Optimus. He was able to almost defeat Optimus before being stabbed in the back with his own weapon, at which point he had his face removed by force. He was humiliated by Optimus Prime, the last remaining Prime, in his prime, with his newfound power, in his new form. The Fallen was so powerful and so gifted with telekinesis, his mystical abilities, and his agility and strength in a fight, that even Megatron revered him and saw him as his master. The Fallen could have possibly even defeated Megatron and Optimus, but in the end, he was attacked from behind by a power-amped Optimus Prime in his new form. Fight. The Fallen is in the center of a city as he takes his blade on the end of his spear, pointing it directly at Megatron as he approaches. He challenges his former disciple to direct combat. The Fallen then simply steadies himself, readying himself as Megatron jets directly into him as he flies and soars, cutting through the air, flying directly at the Fallen, as he then transforms midair and slams into the Fallen, causing him to slide back, his feet breaking through the ground beneath, as then he goes to swing straight with a left hook directly for the Fallen's head, as the Fallen ducks out of the way and grips up Megatron by his throat, slamming him to the ground beneath, creating an explosion of rubble. While laid out, Megatron lets off 3 shots. One hits the Fallen in the chest, one in the throat, and one in the face. The Fallen becomes enraged as Megatron extends his bladed arm and slashes at the Fallen's face right where it was damaged. He slashes through the metallic spikes and cuts diagonally straight through the face of the Fallen, at which point he super kicks the shit out of Megatron, sending him flying away, being completely ragdolled as he slams and tears through a building, cutting straight through the skyscraper. The Fallen levitates multiple vehicles all around him and chunks of rubble from the ground, as he then throws them directly at Megatron, causing him to fly back with a lot of brute force. He goes flying, soaring through the air. Megatron rolls across the ground before stabbing his blade into the surface of the earth, straight through the ground, causing himself to come to a complete stop, as then the Fallen approaches him. The leader of the Decepticon army, Megatron, attempts to stand as he's kneed in the face by the Fallen, at which point he tries to stand and is dropped with a horizontal slash straight through his body from the bladed spear. Now he's angry. Now he's ready to really get the job done. Megatron then leaps through the air, coming down, going to stab right through the Fallen's chest as the Fallen grips him up by the face. He then stabs right into the rib area of the Fallen's body. The Fallen digs his claws into Megatron's stomach and tears through his metallic body with his long, sharp, elongated fingers. And at that point, Megatron shoots him with the energy blaster cannon straight in the neck as he then goes to decapitate the Fallen with a single blow directly at his neck as the Fallen weaves out of the way and then headbutts Megatron as he then levitates him into the air with his telekinesis, slamming him to the surface of the earth. He comes violently crashing down, plummeting to the ground, as then he takes his flail out from his limb as he then whips this weapon directly at the Fallen. The Fallen ducks out of the way, and then when it's thrown at him again, he grips it up and pulls Megatron towards him, impaling him straight through the abdomen with his spear. Megatron ducks as there's a direct stab from the spear aimed straight at his face. He then takes his blade arm and goes to impale the Fallen as the Fallen uppercuts him so savagely he goes through the air and through 2 skyscrapers. He then levitates him directly into the air with this telekinesis as Megatron fires multiple rounds directly at him. As these rounds they literally refuse to do any real lasting physical damage to the Fallen's chest panel. He levitates Megatron to new heights, lifting him higher than he was previously, as he then throws him, causing him to plummet to the earth. Megatron uses his bladed arm to swing for a decapitation blow at the Fallen, but the Fallen ducks out of the way and charges Megatron, ramming his body into his, causing him to fly back as he then spears his spear straight at Megatron, straight through the side of his chest. The Fallen takes his elongated, clawed, bladed fingers, and he impales his hands straight through each side of Megatron's chest as he tears and rips off his own chest panel, as he then headbutts him brutally, viciously, savagely, ferociously, causing him to fall. He drops Megatron and stomps him straight through his chest, and then stomps his head open, crushing and exploding his skull. Winner, the Fallen, Dicem. Peace.